it was quite disheartening, I think, on my part. And
Mm,
I know before I took part in the survey, I could hear of stories of families that would hide their children with disability. But when I did take part in that survey, it came more close to me. I think
mm,
that's the reality part of it,
mm,
of just something that I used to hear,
mm.
but then I had to witness it myself.
And how would you want the future of inclusion be? And this is, of course, now we are speaking with people with physical disabilities, but we can also look at the inclusion as a whole, because the inclusive society we live in, the better. Uh, in your own view and visions, how could you dream about the future of inclusion?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, for me, my dream of inclusion, it starts from the family,
Hmm.
where the person with disability is coming from.
Hmm.
Once there's that inclusion in the family,
Hmm.
I feel it even becomes much easier
Hmm.
for the society,
That's right.
uh, be inclusive as well.
Hmm.
Because definitely, if the family comes together and just provide that inclusiveness to a person with a disability,
Hmm.
it will send a strong message to society out
Yeah.
there to say there are these kind of people, they are parts and parcel of us.
Hmm. Yes, yes.
Whatever decisions we are making,
Mm.
whatever policies that the nation is coming up with,
Hmm.
they have to include persons with disabilities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So inclusion should always start from the family level,
Hmm.
and then it goes up to national level.
Up to national level. So the family will teach the the family will teach a church will teach a community will
Yes,
teach a city will teach a nation. Wow.
yes. Because I believe we all come from families,
We all
and
come
a
from
family
families.
members interact with other family members.
Hmm.
So as much as there's that interaction
Hmm.
and there's inclusiveness from that area or from
That's
that
right.
level,
Mm.
it becomes much easier ever to have that inclusion at national level.
That's right.
Because people that come up with policies,
Mm.
they are coming from communities,
That's right.
different communities.
Different
And of course,
communities.
they are part and parcel of different families.
That's
And
right.
that's why you find persons with disabilities.
Disability. Yes. What is a family for you? You know, in our cultures, a family is beyond father, mother, brother, and sister. Is this the family you're talking about, or are you talking about the family of father, mother, brother, and sister? Or are you also including uncle, aunt, grandmother, and
Uh,
everybody else?
I think for me, when I talk about a family, it's more than just uh, your birth parents, per se,
Hmm.
or your birth siblings.
That's
I'm
right.
really including the extended family
Extended family.
of
Yes.
aunties, uncles, cousins, grandparents.
Hmm.
Because I still believe they're part and parcel of the family system.
That's right.
Those are also the first contact that we have.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes, they're the ones who are coming to celebrate when you are born. And
Yes.
those are the ones who have to continue celebrating you're living, no matter how you are, how you look, and when you're sick or you're not sick, in that
Yeah, and
sense.
definitely what they also comment about you
Mm,
has an effect on you. How
that's right.
they relate, how they relate to you, because
Hmm.
they're able to notice that.
That's right.
More especially as you get to grow,
Hmm.
the way your uncles, your cousins, your grandparents relate to you,
Hmm.
you're able to notice, and it's
Exactly.
something that sticks.
Yeah,
on your mind. Yeah, it's something
exactly.
that you would always think about.
Definitely. Definitely. I want to stick on the family still. This is very touching topic, I think. Throughout your living or your life together with your family, and now I can scope it only to father and mother. Have you ever, or have they ever been invited somewhere where they could get some kind of education or training about how to live with a person with physical disability, how to encourage, this type of realities of living with anyone with disability at home, in order for them to ask questions and get answers?
Uh, well, yes, at some point, my parents were part of this organization,
Hmm.
parents with children with disabilities.
I say
But
yes.
I don't think that's why they got to learn more. I
Hmm.
think it's as for them, it was them that were sharing.
There are
That's
more sharing. Yeah.
yeah, rather than
Hmm.
learning. So on the part of them learning, I think it was just something that came naturally
Naturally.
for
Yes. Yes.
them.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Yes.
of course they could interact with
With
other
the other
parents that had
parents.
children.
Hmm.
Well,
So
with
sharing experiences, and that's also very
yeah,
good
yes.
possibility as well. How often that has been usually, or was it once in a while, or it was quite often?
I don't, not really often. Uh,
Mhm.
it was just something that would have happen. I would say it was a once in a while thing.
Mhm. Yes. And do you think for the
But I feel,
future?
I think again for my, especially like my mom, I
Hmm.
think she could get more interaction uh, from the periods that I was in hospital. The
Hmm.
fact that I spent most of my time in hospital, so she would
Hmm.
always have that opportunity
Yes, yes.
of interacting with other
Interact.
mothers that
Hmm.
had children with disabilities. So
That's right.
close. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, and mothers are usually the starting point, isn't it?
yeah, sure.
Yes. If there is no information, they will figure out where the information is
Yeah.
for the best, and that's great. Do you think this would be something that you would advocate for the future, to include more families into the process and get them uh, sort of be at ease? Of course, sharing is an excellent opportunity, but also training. A parent could come with a first time experience and, oh, I don't know how to do this and that, these basic things that you do at home. Uh, how do you see? Uh, do you think they're important? Uh, or do you think they will all anyway come naturally, of course, when you live with a person with some limitation?
I feel it's really important
Mhm.
uh, to sort of have opportunities where parents will just share their stories.
Mhm.
Or especially parents that have got children that are now grown up.
Mhm.
I just try to share their stories
Mhm.
with parents that still have, let's say, first time mothers
Mhm.
or first parents
Mhm.
for children with disabilities.
Disabilities. Mhm.
I, I still feel it's very important
It's very
because,
important.
like I said earlier, it all starts from the family level,
Yeah, yeah.
how the people will be out there.
Mhm.
Also, it
Exactly.
determines from where they're coming from. So
Mhm.
it's really important because I know there are certain families or
Mhm.
parents, they
Mhm.
don't really know how to go about uh, talking, even just talking to the child
Mhm.
who has
Mhm.
a disability.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just don't know how to engage that child.
Mhm.
Yeah, they sort of feel maybe if I say something, maybe I'll offend them. They
Mhm.
just don't have an idea
Yes, yes, yes.
how how to go about it, and
Mhm.
we can't entirely give a blame on them to say they're
Mhm.
not being supportive to that child, but it's
Mhm.
because they have no
They
idea
have no
how they're
idea.
supposed to do it. Yeah,
Definitely.
so
Mhm.
if there would be such opportunities
Mhm.
where parents would share their stories,
Yeah.
Share their fears,
Mm-hmm.
and just share their experiences.
Experiences. Yes.
That would be more helpful.
Mm,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's very important what you have said, and also there are so many situations where parents have become so scared. Oh, how will my child be, and so forth. So, kind of already early interventions will help the families to also become confident, because the more confident you become, then the better you are also, the best you are also imposing to your child's confidence as he or she is growing towards the realistic living. I mean, the life as you are living today. If you
That's
were
right.
not confident, you could be maybe at home trying to figure out how to do things. But hello, you went to the university, you spent your 5 years, you graduated, and now you're going by taxi to work. Who cares? But you have your job.
Yeah, sure.
And I really hope that the future is going to be bright as well, because it's it's a people like yourself who can also solve or support. Usually we support nowadays. We don't solve. Solution
Yeah.
comes from a person, but who can support the development and understanding of the communities in a sense. Have you thought about being a public speaker? For example, we are speaking about your dreams here, so I can ask all the questions necessary.
Yes.
Mhm,
I've thought about that.
mhm,
Yeah, of being a public speaker, and I think I've sort of tried that.
mhm,
I've been given uh, some opportunities here and there
mhm,
just to share my story.
mhm.
And I think it's something that I would want to one day just get involved more into it,
Mhm.
into public speaking. Yeah.
Exactly. Because I think after speaking with you for 2 times, I have noticed that you have a lot of to share. And a lot of your experiences is that experience which is needed to the people, not only people with disability, I have to repeat it again, but everybody as well, because you are living the life of a normal person. In terms, when I say normal, I mean that a person without disability, uh, but you didn't see disability as a barrier in a sense. You just opened up and you say that, okay, if that person will live, I can live the same way as well. And this is the motivation that so many people need in order to kind of open up um, their confidence and also be able to live the life they deserve to live, and forget about being worried or scared into the communities that they're living in. So with that, I think you can have a lot of topics. There can be so many
Yeah.
locally and also internationally, because experiences are universal and everybody can learn from you, and I think that should be something that you should cultivate more. I hope during these discussions we can take many clips, put them wherever you put them. It's okay, that people can see what you can do also in order to give you a chance to speak, to let the public understand and hear that the normality of a human being is a human being. Everything else is just differences, but we can all work, we can all go to work, we can all press computers, we can do all what we want to do, but we have to have that drive. It could be that we are living with a person without any disabilities, but they just don't have any drive. They will also be at home, you know.
That's right.
So that's why this humanity element has to be on top, and then the rest comes to come later in a sense. Now that's really really important. What you've said also, the family is number one in everything. That
Yeah.
we have to. And maybe my final question for now, it will be about the uh, from your own perspectives, and of course wishes, what would you see as your starting points in terms of now you're working? That's your work. You get an employer, right? So
Exactly.
if we have to have Christine Chama doing something, what would that thing be in a nutshell?
Well,
I asked you some similar question previously, and I'll continue asking because it's good that you pave different perspectives.
okay. So, for me, I always want to see myself being, being an inspiration
Mhm.
uh, out there, and being the change
Mm,
uh, that I want to see in my community. Yeah, I think it all borders on
mhm.
being helpful to my community,
Yes,
being the change that I want to see.
that you want to
And
see.
yeah, in my community. And I
Yeah.
think also just uh, somebody that would add more value
Mhm.
to the disability advocacy. Yeah, I
Disability
know.
advocacy.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
I know we have so many disability advocates, but I would want to be somebody that would be a bit different.
Mhm.
Somebody would be able to somebody that will be able to point at something to say,
Mhm.
through my disability advocacy,
Mhm.
I was able to achieve this.
Mhm.
And through my disability advocacy,
Mhm.
I was able to bring about this change,
Mhm.
which of course wasn't there before.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And that is a possibility. And I hope the people who will watch this video, they have to also comment. Um, do you see or think the government of Zambia would be interested to host this type of uh, service or activity that you're thinking about? Let's say if it happens one day, you are really going to start this. Obviously, you will start small, but yeah. Do you think this is something that is needed from a local person also, because we have so many of the international organization, but now we have a local person needing to uh, start or develop a service towards the best of their community, local community.
Yeah, I think yeah, the government might be interested
Mhm.
if well, to locally support their own. Yeah,
Mhm.
like you have clearly put it, we have got so many international organizations,
Mhm.
but I feel the government would be there to support
Mhm.
uh, a local based
Yes, yes, yes.
person that would want to bring it to
Yeah.
change.
Mhm.
Yeah, yes.
Exactly. And in terms of the disability or uh, yeah, if we talk about a disability as a whole, what do you think is the big need from the community that you live in? What would be needed mostly?
Uh, I think first things first
Mhm.
is to do with the mindset of
Mindset. Mhm.
community. I think
Mhm.
it all starts from there.
That's right.
Uh, uh, we still have communities that have got a very negative perception
Mhm.
about persons with disabilities.
That's right.
So if you try so hard to take in change to that
Mm.
community,
Yeah.
as much as the people's mindset or
Mm.
perception doesn't change,
Mm.
I feel it sort of becomes pointless.
Mm.
Because,
Mm.
for instance, if you had to take a special school to such
Yeah.
a community, I still feel people won't be able to utilize that space to its advantage
Mm.
or to its intended purpose
That's
because
right.
they don't really understand
Mm.
the importance of such and infrastructure in their community.
That's right.
So I feel it's the first or the starting point should be changing people's perception
Perception.
towards persons with disabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I feel would have a more inclusive society.
Very good. Maybe we should have a discussions round someday. We can invite people and then we speak about these perceptions in here and see how the discussion will be. But that's very important. Mindset is really something that has to be changed first in order to get the communities at ease. You said something that if you bring a school or special school in some community, for example, people might not be able to utilize it fully. Do you think there are some communities or families who are hiding or holding their children or relatives with any sorts of disabilities back because of the community shaming or community negativity in your areas?
Yes. It's not suddenly that even in this generation that we are in, this technology age that we are in, we still have such families that hide children with disabilities because of the shame that comes from the community members of where they are in. I think that was in 20. I think it was 2018 or 2017, if I'm not mistaken. I did take part in a disability survey while I was still at uni. And it was so sudden with the findings. This is one of the districts, I think, by then, where we had to find alarming rates, high rates of children with disabilities that are kept in their homes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, whereby even the closest neighbors, they don't know that there's a child with a disability in the house. Yeah, so it was quite disheartening, I think, on my part. And I know before I took part in the survey, I could hear of stories of families that would hide their children with disability. But when I did take part in that survey, it came more close to me. I think that's the reality part of it, of that something that I used to hear, but then I had to witness it myself. So we still have such families that still hide children with disabilities. And for most of them, it's not because they want to, but because of how society treats them.
Exactly.
And it's like mostly in these rural areas, you'll find that they have these gatherings for women, and but once the other group members discover that one of the group members has a child with a disability, they tend to exclude them from such groups on the basis that they have a children with disability. And we still have myths around which say if you have a child with a disability, it's a case. Or maybe you wronged someone, or you're a big sinner in some way. Yeah, so people still have those myths surrounding children with disabilities. And in some communities, there's so much of shaming going on that parents with children with disabilities have to face from other community members.
I think we have to, because this is a problem. I like to call those things really openly. I don't like to find another way or words, because then we don't speak about issues. And that's why I can say a person with disability, because sometimes it's quite controversial to say a person with disability. If we say things in their realities, then it's easy to deal them.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I think it's a problem this time uh, in our communities that we are living in. We cannot mention, of course, the places now, but of the people shaming the children, relatives, or family members with disability. Well, and that makes the families hide those people inside. As you've said, some people in some places, even the neighbor won't know if there was or there is a child with disability in the house. That's a torture.
Definitely
And I
is.
think in our next episode, I think this is going to be the episode of second or third week of July. We should talk a little bit more on how to turn this shame into pride. And we should try as much as possible to also make that discussion visible so that it could be the first step of your work as well. Because I think if that could be solved, then the mindset of the people is then becoming better. I spoke with a person who was a divorcee, and she taught me this terminology: turn your shame into pride. She was the first divorcee in her village or section of the country in Italy. And when she went back home after the divorce, as a Christian, I believe, the first thing first, she was supposed to pretend as a married woman. But when she was able to be open and alive with her situation, things became better for her. She became more confident, she became more able, and also her family became even better in that sense that they understood that humanity can be of difference. So I think this type of shaming people with disability in the community should be a topic that has to be addressed. And if you are willing, that could be your first reality story. We won't mention the names, but you know the places in your community. We can hear many stories. I can tell you about that from many different communities, and figure out the way to turn that shame, which is in the mindset, into pride. And based on the examples that you're living with, it's really saddening to hear that you can keep a child at home for many years that he or she can't even see outside. it's a torture. It's really a torture. But I must thank you for now in this session. It's been quite motivating, I would say. A very positive session again that we are going to put out for the people. And then we will keep on publishing one or I think 2 or 3 more sessions out before we possibly have the first round of discussion where we can also include the people to discuss issues with you. Yes, because I think that would be one of the next steps towards your dream of public speaker. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. So thanks a lot, and I wish you a very good rest of the day, and we'll be in contact then later on.
Thank you so much.
You're very much welcome.
Sharing with me.
No
It's just been an eye opener for me.